Hello there. Today I shall discuss the Oracle build in Titan Quest. The Oracle class consists of two masteries, Spirit and Storm. Now just as with the last video, I actually don't have the Oracle character, so once again I'm going to discuss the build based on what I know about the masteries and also what I've heard people on the forums say, on the Titan Quest forums. Well, first of all, if you notice, Oracle is most likely to be a mage. You're most likely to go pure mage route. I don't think I've heard of anyone going melee Oracle or archer Oracle, but it's always possible. But mage Oracle is pretty much the main thing. And another thing that a lot of people say is Oracle is a glass cannon, so very good at dealing powerful damage in terms of elemental spells and stuff, but also very fragile and not so good at survival. So pretty much your main job is to keep the Oracle alive and away from the enemies as much as possible. So yeah, I'll go into the skills. Let's start with the Storm. It doesn't matter which master you start with, I think. I think you can start with either of them. But yeah, I'll begin discussing with the Storm. Well, straight away you'll see I've went for Storm Nimbus, because that adds, the elemental aspect to your attacks. And I've actually gone for the lightning damage here. If you see, I've maxed out the last synergy in the Storm Nimbus. But I think it probably depends if you decide to go more with the cold oriented damage. You'd want to max out Heart of Frost instead. But if not, then at least 1 point Heart of Frost is good because it slows down the enemies. But if you lightning oriented, then you'd want to get all the skills which do lightning damage. So if you see here, I went for the lightning bolt tree because that's a powerful tree. It deals quite a lot of lightning damage, especially when you get chain lightning. But alternatively, if you prefer to be more of a cold oriented person, then you might want to go for ice shards. Although ice shards is a skill point hungry tree, so you'll need to spend a lot of skill points on that. I also got Squall, as you see. Now Squall is a good debuff because if you cast it on the enemies, it creates an area where it will be dealing damage to them every second, and also it will lower their resistances, and it will impair their aim. If it's archers, for example, shooting at you, it will impair their aim. I also went for Thunderbolt. I put 1 point in it and 1 in its synergy. Thunderbolt is sort of just good for stunning enemy groups. Storm Surge, very important. It's pretty much good for every Storm class, so there's always 1 point in it is good. You might want to put more if you have more skill point, but at least 1 is advisable. It stuns all the enemies around you upon getting hit with 15% chance of proccing, so that's like 1 in every 6 or 7 hits deal to you, it will proc. And it'll stun every enemy around you at the time. So that's very useful for an Oracle if you need to get away from the enemies if they're starting to surround you. And yeah, I also went for the Wisp, mostly because the Wisp's synergy increases your elemental damage output, so if he casts that on you, it will really help you to deal more lightning and frost damage. Didn't really go for other skills, but if you have a specifically orient build, you might go for a Spellbreaker skill. That can sort of drain enemy energy and deal damage in regard to that, but it requires a very specific setup, so I wouldn't really advise it for a general build, kind of. Let's go for the Spirit. Alright, so once again, the first thing you probably notice is Death Chill Aura. I pretty much maxed out all that. That's a good aura which will weaken the enemies if they're surrounding you again. Although it's probably more useful for a melee character, but I'd say even for an Oracle, probably still quite useful because if enemies will be surrounding you, you'd want them to be weakened. I also went for a Lich King. He's a very useful pet. He'll be like your damage dealer. Well, you're the main damage dealer there, but he'll be great helping, especially in epic and legendary difficulties. He'll be very helpful. As usual, as I say, it's not very advisable to go for the Arcane Blast, the last synergy he's got, because it's not exactly fantastic attacking. He's got better attacks already, so you might as well just spending skill points in other skills like Wrath Shell and stuff. But if he does take up quite a lot of skill points, so just make a steady progress on him and all that. Then we've got Dark Covenant with the Unearthly Power. It's not so much probably early on, because early on, if you know that Dark Covenant, it drains your health to generate energy. So early on, that health drain will probably be quite significant, but later on, once you already have a substantial amount of health, that will actually be quite negligible, and so you'll be getting quite a lot of good energy regeneration for very little price of health. So yeah, it's a good skill to get for because as Oracle you'll be casting a lot of spells, so you'll be running out of energy really fast. So that's quite advisable. And Unearthly Power makes you very it increases your buffs you. A few other skills you've got 1 point wonders like Vision of Death, helpful as a panic button or just to if you just want to get into the enemies have one step ahead of them. And Spirit Ward and Spirit Bane, good against the undead. And undead are quite frequent enemies, so 1 point in each of those is good. The Outsider, 1 point in him is good. He's sort of a temporary pet, but he's quite powerful, so good for all those really difficult moments when you know you starting to fight a really tough group of enemies, or maybe a boss even. Turn 9 attack. I've maxed it out here. I think as an Oracle class, turn attack can be quite useful, although it's not something you should rush into because in the beginning it'll be quite weak, and it'll spread damage in like 3 ways, so you might even miss the enemy if you try to hit with it. But yeah, once you like got all the other substantial skills, other important skills, then turn attack can be quite helpful. Yeah, I'll just finally mention the stats. As I said earlier, Oracle is pretty much a pure mage class, so intelligence is really the only stat you need to go for. You don't need any strength at all, unless you're making the Oracle melee, which you probably not too advisable for that. Dexterity you don't need either, unless if you got a really low defensive ability. But generally intelligence is your main thing, and also energy. If you're still running out of energy really fast, a few points in energy can help. So yeah, that was Oracle class. I hope that was helpful.